You clicked on this video expecting me to tell you which one is better, the 9 to 5 or self-employment. I'm not going to do that, because that question is wrong. And as long as you keep asking it, you will stay exactly where you are, financially dependent, trading your time for money, and wondering why freedom keeps feeling out of reach. In the next 12 minutes, I'm going to show you why neither a 9 to 5 nor self-employment guarantees your freedom, with real numbers, real psychology, and a framework that will permanently change how you think about this question. I used to be exactly where you probably are right now, sitting in a corporate job, watching YouTube videos about entrepreneurship, convincing myself that the problem was my employment status, that if I could just go self-employed, just become my own boss, everything would change. And here's what I eventually learned the hard way. The people I looked up to who had actually built financial freedom, most of them weren't even self-employed. Some were corporate employees, some were entrepreneurs, some did both. What they all had in common had nothing to do with their job title. And the self-employed people I knew who were still broke, still stressed, still working 60-hour weeks with no safety net, they had made the switch. They had escaped the 9 to 5, and they were still not free. That gap between what I expected and what I observed forced me to ask a completely different question. And that question is what this entire video is about. Before I break down the comparison, I need to give you the framework that makes the whole thing make sense. Because without this, you'll watch this video and still go back to thinking about job types instead of financial freedom. There are only two types of income in the world. Active income. You work, you get paid. You stop working, it stops. Your time is directly exchanged for money. This is the fundamental structure of both a 9 to 5 job and most self-employment. Both of them are active income engines. Passive income. Your assets work, you get paid. Whether you sleep, travel, get sick, or take a month off, the income continues. This is what financial freedom actually looks like. Here is the most important sentence in this entire video. Write it down if you need to. Financial freedom is not determined by your employment status. It is determined by the size of your asset column relative to your monthly expenses. A 9 to 5 employee who invests consistently builds an asset column. A self-employed person who spends everything they earn does not. The 9 to 5 employee wins every single time. So, the real question was never 9 to 5 versus self-employed. The real question is this: which path gives you, with your specific skills, psychology, and circumstances, the best chance to build an asset column the fastest? Now let's run the honest comparison through that lens. The 9 to 5 sells you three things: stability, predictability, security. And here's what the critics of the 9 to 5 never acknowledge. Those three things are real. A corporate employee earning $60,000 a year knows exactly what hits their account on the 1st and 15th. They have health insurance. They have a 401k match. They have paid time off. That predictability is not worthless. That predictability is actually a powerful financial foundation if you use it correctly. But here's where the 9 to 5 becomes a trap, not because of the job itself, but because of what the stability does to your psychology. The comfort of a guaranteed paycheck makes it dangerously easy to never build anything beyond it. You get the raise, you upgrade the lifestyle, you stay comfortable, year after year, decade after decade, and the salary has a ceiling set by someone else. Your income growth is controlled by annual reviews, company budgets, and the opinion of a manager. You can be exceptional and still receive a 2% raise because that's what everyone gets. There's also a deeper risk that most employed people don't think about until it's too late. That stability is one decision away from disappearing, one restructuring, one layoff, one bad quarter for the company, and the security you built your entire financial life around is gone. Employment with a single company is, in reality, concentration risk. All your income comes from one source. That is not security. That is the illusion of security. But here is what the 9-to-5 actually gives you that almost nobody talks about. And this is the part that changes everything if you understand it. Predictable cash flow, invested consistently, is one of the most powerful wealth-building engines in existence. Let's run the numbers. A corporate employee earning $60,000 per year, who invests $1,000 per month into a diversified index fund at an average 8% annual return, in 20 years, that becomes approximately $589,000. Not because of their job, not because of their salary, because of what they did with the stability and predictability their job provided. The 9-to-5 is not the enemy. Staying only in the 9-to-5 mentally, never building assets beyond it, that is the trap. If you are currently employed, you are not behind. You are sitting on a foundation. The question is what you are building on top of it. Self-employment sells you something more emotionally compelling than stability. No boss, unlimited income, control over your time, work from anywhere, build something of your own. The entire narrative around escaping the 9-to-5 is built on this promise, and parts of it are completely true. The income ceiling disappears. A self-employed person can scale their earnings in ways a salaried employee fundamentally cannot. The flexibility is real. The autonomy is real. One entrepreneur described it this way: once you're self-employed, your income isn't limited by annual reviews and incremental raises. You're only restricted by how hard you work, how many clients you acquire, how many customers you attract. That is a genuinely different financial reality. But here is what the self-employment narrative almost always leaves out. Most self-employed people are not business owners. They are freelancers. And a freelancer is just a person who has a job, with worse job security, no benefits, no employer 401k match, and an income that can disappear overnight if a client leaves. You traded one boss for many bosses. You traded one income source for multiple, which is actually better for security, but only if those income sources are stable enough to rely on. The self-employment income roller coaster is real. There will be months of feast and months of famine. And the psychological weight of that uncertainty, the fact that if you stop working, the income stops. That is still active income. That is still not freedom. Self-employment is also overly glamorized, and the 9-to-5 is overly villainized. Both can be equally miserable if you lack the self-awareness to find the right fit. Both can be deeply fulfilling if approached with the right strategy. The problem isn't the job type. The problem is the belief that changing the job type changes the financial outcome automatically. It doesn't. Where self-employment genuinely and significantly wins, if done strategically, is in two areas: income ceiling and tax efficiency. A skilled self-employed professional can earn 2, 3, or even 4 times what a salaried employee earns in the same field. And as a self-employed person, you have access to tax structures, business expense deductions, retirement accounts like SEP IRAs that can dramatically reduce your effective tax rate compared to a W-2 employee. That combination of higher income and lower effective taxes creates a potentially massive gap between what you earn and what you owe. And that gap, invested aggressively into assets, can build financial independence significantly faster than a corporate salary. But, and this is critical, only if you build assets with the surplus. The self-employed person earning $120,000 and spending $115,000 has less freedom than the corporate employee earning $60,000 who invests $1,500 per month. Every single time. The math is not close. So which is better? The 9-to-5 or self-employment? Neither, and both, entirely depending on what you do with it. The 9-to-5 gives you stability, predictable cash flow, and benefits. Those are tools. If you use that stability to build an asset column, you are on the path to freedom. If you use it to inflate your lifestyle and stay comfortable, you will be employed forever. Self-employment gives you an uncapped income ceiling and tax flexibility. Those are also tools. If you use the income surplus to build assets, you can potentially reach financial independence faster than almost any corporate employee. If you spend everything you earn, you have traded the golden handcuffs of employment for the chaos of freelancing. The variable that determines your financial future is not which box you check on a form. It is one thing and one thing only: the gap between what you earn and what you spend, and how aggressively you convert that gap into assets that generate income without your time. That gap is your freedom number. Everything else is noise. I want to be honest with you about something. Most people watching this video are not going to act on it. They're going to nod along, feel the clarity for about 20 minutes, and then go back to thinking about whether they should quit their job or start a freelance career. Because the question of 9 to 5 versus self-employment feels concrete. It feels like a decision you can make. It gives you something to do with the restlessness and the frustration and the feeling that you're not where you want to be yet. Building an asset column feels slow. It feels abstract. It doesn't make for a dramatic story. But here is the truth. The people who have built real financial freedom, the ones who wake up on a Tuesday morning and genuinely choose whether to work or not, almost none of them got there by making the right job type decision. They got there by making the right financial decisions consistently, inside whatever path they were on. That is available to you right now, today, with the income you currently have. Stop asking which job type sets you free. Start asking, what is my current path to an asset column that covers my expenses? That is the only question that leads to the life you are actually trying to build. Here is your one action after this video. Not 3, not a list. 1. Open a notes app right now and write down 2 numbers. Number 1, what you currently earn per month after tax. Number 2, what you currently invest per month. The difference between those 2 numbers, that is your freedom gap. That is the number you need to grow. Not your salary, not your job title. That gap. If you want a concrete framework for how to grow that gap, whether you're employed or self-employed, that's exactly what I cover in next video title. Watch that next. The link is in the description. And if this reframe changed how you think about this, share it with one person who is still stuck in the 9 to 5 versus self-employment debate. They need to hear this more than they need another comparison video.